Matt Jolley, right here on Georgia Radio.
Well, it's always great when friends stop by. We're getting ready, as you know, for the Carrollton BookFest. It's coming up here in Carrollton, Georgia, where I live, where the Big Red Barn on Fairchance Farm is located, and it's where our studios are. But joining me today from just over the state line down there in Alabama is a young lady who has had tremendous success, and she's here to talk about her success not only as a librarian and as an educator, but also now as a critically acclaimed author. Terah Shelton Harris, welcome to Georgia Radio.
Wow, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
So how do you go from the library to now having several, not only books in the work, but some movies and all kind of stuff? What's that like? Talk to me about that.
I mean, it's very surreal on the surface, but I've always wanted to be a writer. I just did everything else before I actually got serious about writing. And I just went back to my first love, which was writing. I knew I wanted to be a writer when I was in the 6th grade. And so writing is something that I've always done, but it wasn't something that I always embraced for a very different types of, reasons. And then that's how I ended up in the library world, which it's not that far disconnect between libraries and writing, of course, because I am surrounded by books at all times. And I think my work in libraries just kind of really helped me foster and lean back into writing.
Talk to me about growing up in Illinois and this fascination with books and with travel. Were they related? I mean, was this, you learned about the rest of the world from books and that inspired you, or was it vice versa?
It's a little bit of both. I was born in Chicago, but I was raised in Southern Illinois, so a very rural area. And so travel became that thing that I felt like I traveled first through books. So I was always an avid reader. And so I'd read about these destinations in the books and kind of imagine them for myself. And one day say, you know what, I want to go there. I want to visit those places. And later on, I had a great opportunity to start doing that. And so books moved into actually seeing these places that I had imagined and read about became something that I saw in person firsthand. And so, but I think my rural background really helped me with that because I was able to see outside of, where I was and just wanted to see these places and kind of made it my goal that, the first place that I said I want to travel to was New York City to see the Statue of Liberty. And I just remember actually doing that and was disappointed at how small the Statue of Liberty actually turned out to be because I had hyped it up so much in my head. And so, but I still got a chance to cross that off my list. But yeah, I was first introduced to travel through the books that I read.
40 countries, 6 continents. You're like a serial you're one of those people. And I say that because I love it when I'm there, but I hate the going. Like I got so busted the other day. We went down to the there's an alteration shop here, and we had a big trip. We took a big trip this year. We went over to Paris, and I was talking to the lady who was altering my jacket, to wear over there. You got to take a nice jacket when you go somewhere like that, so you can wear it to the restaurants and everything. And she goes, "Are you excited about going?" And I said, "Well, I'm excited about being there. I'm not excited about going." And I totally got busted because we went back the other day for something with my wife. And she goes, "Oh, how did your Paris trip go? You weren't looking forward to it."
Wow.
There are those who travel well, and then there are those like me who are kind of like a colicky horse. We get on the plane reluctantly, but then you love it. What is it about that for you? I mean, is it you're just excited to go? You're ready at the drop of a hat?
My husband says I have jet fuel in my veins.
Yeah.
That's what he loves to say. Like I just have it in my veins. But the going is part of it for me. I have simplified and made my travel a lot easier. So, and doing things like not flying economy if I'm able to, finding nice hotels, different things like that has made the actual travel part fun. Because when I was younger, of course, I had to travel any way I could. So a lot of uncomfortable rides on buses and different things. And then over time, as I grew up, I just decided that I was going to try to travel in comfort as much as possible. But I love traveling. One of the reasons why is because I was a travel writer for a really long time, a freelance travel writer. So that's how I was able and have been able to go to as many continents and see as many countries and cities as possible, because I did a lot of travel writing for a long time. And I will say Paris is the place where I have visited the most. And I always tell people, if I am lost or if you can't find me, I'm in Paris somewhere.
Amen. Boy, the food just brings you back, doesn't it? I mean,
Yes.
to really understand a place, you have to go there. You have to eat the food. You have to meet the people. And it's so true as a writer. You hear that so often, that you have to go there, you have to see, and you have to do. You write a lot about the South, and you grew up in the southern part of Illinois, but you don't often hear, of Illinois as described as the South. What brought you to this area with your stories?
My husband. My husband is born and raised in Alabama. And so when we got together and got married, he brought me here. And I have now lived in the South longer than I've lived anywhere else. So I like to tell people I am a Southerner by marriage, not by birth, but I've been here long enough, longer than I have anywhere else. So I feel like I am not a bona fide, but I am a Southerner, and I love the South. I have lived in major cities and I've lived in the Midwest, but there's something about the South that I just love. And so when I started writing that I was going to base my books in the South. Southern fiction is some of my favorite types of writing when I was in college, getting my English degrees. And I just loved it so much, the atmosphere and the people. And I just feel like the South is its own minor character in itself in a lot of ways. And I try to incorporate that into my books.
One summer in Savannah, and long after we are gone. Talk to us about those two stories that you're going to come and talk about at the Carrollton BookFest.
Wow, it's so funny because they're so different from one another. They are so different from one another, and it's by design. One Summer in Savannah tells a story of a woman who conceives a child following a sexual assault and has to make a very difficult decision whether or not to allow her attacker's family into her daughter's life. And that story is loosely based on a dear friend of mine. And then you have Long After We're Gone, which tells the story of 4 siblings who are each grappling with their own individual struggles and personal demons, who must return home after their father dies to save their ancestral home and land from being sold out from underneath them. And that story is loosely based on these 2 brothers in North Carolina and what happened to them, what really truly happened to them in their story involving air property, which is kind of a hot button topic in terms of involuntary land loss that is happening a lot in the South. And so those 2 books can be even more different from one another. One Summer in Savannah is this emotional story that tells about the power of forgiveness. And then you have Long After We're Gone, that is really, the theme is really about letting go of things that no longer serve you. And you kind of go through these 4 siblings, and each one of them has a point of view in the story. And you go through them with their individual struggles while they're also trying to fight to save their ancestral home and land from underneath them. And it's, both of those books could be more different. And I'm not feel like I'm going to tie myself down to writing one particular type of book. My books are contemporary fiction and contemporary Southern fiction, and that's just about it. And so they couldn't be more different from one another, but they both are, and all my books will be loosely based on real, true life events that's happened to people. And they're going to highlight these circumstances that happen to people every day that we either don't know about or we don't talk enough about.
Amen. Well, it's great stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. What's your advice for folks who want to write, who just are starting out? Maybe they're held back. Maybe they're a librarian listening to this just like you were at some point. What do you want them to know?
Oh, start writing. I ran from writing books. I should not be on my 4th book now. I should be on book 10 now. But I was afraid of actually sitting down to actually write a novel. Start now. You have time. And I know time is a big issue for people, but you have time. If you have to write at your kid's soccer game practice or soccer practices, if you have to write sitting at a stoplight, just write. right. And I meet so many people when I'm on the road touring who ask me about writing. I just say, just start, just get the story down and go from there. So many people want to write books, but very few of them actually finish a book. And I think there is a sense of accomplishment in actually finishing it. So my advice would be to start.
And what do you say to folks who've never read a book?
Who've never read a book?
Yeah, who've never read a book. I read something the other day, and it was kind of alarming. And I thought, this is another question you got to ask authors. There's an alarming group of people who have never read a book, and here you are, a librarian. You're the perfect person to ask this question.
I was going to say, okay, I'm taking off my writer's hat on and I'm putting my librarian hat on. I would tell people to listen to a book, to find an audiobook and listen to it. So we now have, we have scheduled ourselves so much that a lot of people just don't have time to sit down and to physically turn a page and read a book. But we're in the car because we have a commute, or we are in the garden. We are taking a walk. We're working out. Instead of listening to music, find an audiobook and listen to a book, because it's the same as reading. And it's I think when people realize how much they would enjoy a book if they listen to it, I think it's the hindrance of sitting down and reading that's hard for them. But if they listen to it, and you can get books for free, you don't have to have a prescription at Audible. Your local public library has probably Overdrive or Libby, and you can download ebooks or e-audiobooks for free. And I would challenge people to try that. Find a genre that you love. If it's murder, if it's murder mystery, if it's thrillers, if it's romance, if it's westerns, listen to a book. Try it. Download one and just listen to it when you are doing something else, when you're in the kitchen cooking. I read several hundred books a year, and people always ask me, how are you able to get through all those books? Because I'm always listening to a book. When I'm in the kitchen cooking, when I'm taking a walk, when I'm working out, when I'm in my garden, I'm always listening to a book. And so I would challenge them to find one book and download it for free and see if they like it.
I love that. Don't hold yourself accountable to go sit by the fire in your comfortable shoes and your blanket and a pipe. If you're whatever, don't think of it like that. I love this. Just meet it where you are and listen to it. I think that's a great idea. That's right. Your book was featured on One Book, One Community, and here in Carrollton, the folks who have provided a number of those books are our friends over there at Underground Books, which do have a printed book that you can buy. You can go there. You can see it when you come to town. But Josh and Megan, such wonderful folks at Underground Books, and it is a cozy bookstore. I don't know if you've been over there, but we want to thank them. You got to go over there. Mm-hmm. It is a wormhole. It's like you're going into this sort of secret place that is right there across from the Arts Center, and it's wonderful. You got to go over there. One of my favorite bookstores. But you were selected for this program, One Book, One Community, which has literally gotten your book into the hands of hundreds of people who might not have read it. Terah, you're going to be here. You've got to come see. You got to come see her, first of all. So put it on your calendar, April 4 and 5. 4th of April, more for writers. 5th for readers and everybody that wants to come. There's still, I know there's still some space in some of the master classes. If you want to come on the 4th and start writing that book that Terah was talking about, please come and do that. And then on the 5th, come out and see the lovely Terah Shelton Harris. Thank you so much for coming on Georgia Radio. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Any words you want to throw in there right at the end here? I know it's terahsharris.com, which we will include in the show story, but any parting words for the folks who are listening at home?
Yes, please come out and see us. This is my second time visiting the Carrollton Book Festival, and I had an amazing time. So I am just one of so many amazing authors that will be there. So if you have some time, please come out and see us.
Terah, thanks again for coming on. Great having you. See you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Georgia Radio, on your phone, in your home, everywhere you go.